Hello everyone, Dr. Fernandez here. I hope that we find everyone well in this difficult time. I know that we are in a time of uncertainty and people are concerned about not only their health, but the health of their loved ones and people in the community and our economy. And they should be. I mean, this is an unprecedented event that I've never experienced in my lifetime, and I've been practicing 26 years. But every single day that goes by, we learn a lot more about this virus. And the one thing that we do understand is that it is highly contagious. That means you transmit it from one person to another much easier than most other viruses. Now, for that reason alone, I actually commend Mayor Jimenez for shutting down the community. Shutting down the community before maybe the statistics came in that would have justified shutting down the community. He probably has saved a lot of lives by making the decision that he's made. And what you're seeing right now in New York with the numbers rising the way they're rising, it's because even after they shut down the community, most of the people will not show up to a hospital, or even worse, people will not die until about 3 weeks after the infection. So if you shut down this week as we did here in Miami, our numbers will continue to rise, probably for the next 3 weeks, because the people that were infected prior to the decision the mayor made will not show the true effects for a few days or a few weeks. Let me start by explaining a little bit about the virus. You know, there is a lot of different viruses out there, and viruses have many different mechanisms as to how they affect us. You know, you might have a virus that comes in and attaches onto the mucous membrane in your nose and gives you something like the simple cold or rhinitis or sinusitis. But this particular virus, it attaches itself onto your lung tissue, the mucus tissue in the lungs. And what will happen is, in many instances, people can take about 5 days from infection before they start showing some type of symptom. And these symptoms can include cough, could be a dry cough, could be a moist cough. You could have sputum. The phlegm could be white, could be yellow. There's green. There's no indication as to what's going to come up. But you may also have a fever. And this is going to lead me to the first main topic that I want to get here today. This fever is going to be your kind of like your first wall of defense. Okay, it's your initial line of soldiers. It's the way the body's going to actually start protecting itself. And that change in body temperature makes you a very inhospitable host. In other words, if a virus enters your body at a certain temperature, it doesn't want that temperature to change. By changing that temperature, you actually slow the replication of the virus. You actually stimulate the production of white blood cells, which is actually your antibodies, which are going to go in there and try to defend you against that virus. So there's actually a lot of good things that are occurring because of that fever. And so we don't necessarily want to just jump in there like most people do. I mean, thank God my patients, they've been hearing me preach about this for years, that the body has an incredible defense mechanism, and we kind of want it to do its job right now. We're encountered with a disease that we don't have a simple cure. We don't have a simple pill or a shot or a potion that we're going to be able to give you to take care of you. So your best line of defense against this virus is you. Your body is your best weapon. And we have to understand how that body's going to work. So that fever is your primary defense. Aspirin, Tylenol, Advil, ibuprofen, all these other medications that actually lower the fever, in many cases, not just this one, they've actually been proven to cause viruses to take longer to get out of the system because we just don't act as we should. Now, because of all the hype that the media's given us, and I'm not downplaying it, it's definitely warranted. I mean, when you look at this disease, they're saying about 20%. So 1 out of every 5 people that come in contact with this virus could develop something like pneumonia, which is pretty dangerous in itself. That's 20% will develop pneumonia, and maybe even 1% of these people could actually die. So when we get these symptoms, a cough and a fever, and we've heard all this fear on TV, many people might want to pick up and run to the ER, to the emergency room. I'm going to tell you right now, that is the last place you want to be. If you don't have coronavirus and you went to the emergency room, the chances of you getting it are definitely going to be a lot higher. So your job is to really rest, let the fever do its initial job. Obviously, if there's any severe complications from this, that means in addition to the fever, You have loss of breath, shortness of breath. You have pain in your chest, pain in your back as a result of this. There's a lot of different things that may warrant medical attention. And what I would recommend at this point is actually contacting your medical provider and putting them on alert. Let them know, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm experiencing. And I just want to let you know, in case the situation gets worse, that you may be one of those people that requires going to the emergency room. But the goal here would be is make that the last resort, not your first resort. So we have this fever. You need to be hydrated. Now this is my second point that I'm going to make. Most of us are just, we're in quarantine right now. We're sitting around. We're kind of waiting for things to blow over. But it doesn't mean that you haven't been infected prior to getting into quarantine. Your goal should be to hydrate way before you come in contact with anything, way before you have a symptom. You need to be hydrated because it is very difficult to rehydrate once a fever's begun. It takes your body about 2 days to build up these fluids and start storing them. So once you have a fever, it's not going to be as easy. And yes, an IV would help. But again, you don't want to be in a hospital if you don't need to be there. Very, very dangerous place at this point. So start with the hydration right now. Drink enough fluid that your urine gets to the point where it looks fairly clear. Okay? You don't need to get intoxicated with water, but drink an adequate amount of water so that your urine is not yellow, it's not orange, and so forth. You want that urine clear. Be prepared prior to these things happening. If you do get this fever, most likely you're gonna feel cold. Jump into bed. Throw on a comforter or two. It doesn't mean your temperature is going to continue to rise until you explode. Your body's going to get to the temperature necessary to do what it's supposed to do. You can feel free to monitor it with a thermometer. Most of these viruses will probably stay around 102, maybe 103 degrees. And these fevers usually break, maybe in 4 or 5, maybe 6 hours. And then you're going to wait to see whether or not you recycle with another fever. And if so, how high does that one get? And this is how we're going to monitor the progress of the disease. If we have a fever that does not break, a fever that continues to rise, get higher and higher, along with shortness of breath and any other complication, you may need medical attention. But if we have a fever that reaches to a certain point, stays steady, and breaks, wait a little while, get another fever, stays steady and breaks, this cycle can actually go on for 3, even 4 days. And as long as you're well hydrated, you're taking in the necessary calories to be able to defend it, your body will do a very good job of trying to protect you. You just need to monitor yourself and make sure that there's no additional complications. What else can we do right now? Like I said earlier, your body is the best weapon you're going to have against this disease and any other disease. We've mentioned the hydration, nutrition. I've always said it, you are what you eat. This is the time to be putting good things in your body. Now, we're all quarantined again. It makes it so easy to go for the junk food, the chips, and whatever's there. Binge eating. Do not do that right now. You want to load yourself up with vitamin C. Increase the citrus fruits, your oranges and your grapefruits and your lemons and your tangerines, and get as much citrus as you can right now. Start loading your body up with vitamin C. Stick to the stuff that you know works. The vegetables. Broccoli, spinach, things that are high in micronutrients, things that are highly nutritious for you. Your almonds and other types of nuts. This is the time to stay away from soda. This is the time to stay away from sugar, okay? This is the time to think that what you put into your body is what it's gonna give back to you. Exercise. Again, we're under quarantine. It's too easy to sit behind the TV and just watch all the news of what's going on around the world. You need to take the time to exercise. If you don't use it, you lose it. You need your body to be healthy because should you come down with a cold, you might be in bed for 4 or 5 days. And if you're weak before you go in there, you're gonna get even weaker. But if you're strong, it gives you a much better chance to be resilient, to recover. I've been mentioning these things for years, but this is one of the most important times to put it into action. We cannot rely on the pills and the potions. Antibiotics do not protect you against viruses. And it's up to you right now. It's up to you to take charge of your health and maybe pass this information on to your friends and your loved ones. Because all we're hearing in the media is about how many people are getting sick and how overwhelmed our hospital systems are. But nobody's sitting here and telling you what you need to do right now. You need to prepare yourself for battle. because we don't know who's going to get it. And many of my patients, thank heaven, because we've spoken about building up your body's immunity throughout the years, many of my patients are going to be that top percentage that can come in contact with this and get over it. But you do have loved ones that are not following that routine. The elderly that don't have the energy to exercise like they used to. You have neighbors that maybe don't eat healthy, or smokers, or whatever it may be. And we kind of have to be compassionate to those people also. So we have to follow the rules. We have to avoid spreading from one to another, because our healthcare system is overwhelmed right now. And if everybody was to catch this at once, there is some estimates that say that up to 70% of the population in the US will get this. And if you take 70% of our population, and you say that 20% of those people could possibly get pneumonia, which means they'll end up in the hospital, and you say that 1% of those or more could actually die, then yeah, we have to play a role in not only protecting ourselves, but protecting our community. So again, be prepared. Take the necessary precautions to protect yourself and your family and those around you. And make sure that your friends get the information that they need. As always, yours in health, Dr. Fernandez. God bless you.